Hello, it's Errin. Cheers to every day, every hour being happy hour. But this is water. So cheers. Hydrate. Today's topic is very in keeping with the times, but I definitely planned it way before. This happened. Well, no, not way before. Apparently, it wasn't way before, but we thought it was way before, but it wasn't way before. So don't worry about that. So it's relevant. Hashtag relevant. I'll have to do that. Okay. Anyway, um, the things, this is my notepads, a latte to do. The things that we are going to talk about are definitely going to talk about life derailments and planning and not planning. And I know people are like, this girl is insane. I'm only watching this because she's insane. None of this advice is good. But that's fine if you're entertained. Great. Um, anyway, so I saw a meme the other day that said that the millennials have gone through a lot of things, and some of us are not even 40 yet. Or actually, I think we're not 40. I don't know. We're not 40. I'm not 40. Not yet. Basically, when I was in high school, I put together this brilliant 5-year plan, and then there's a 10-year plan, and it all had to do with our little memory book. You could buy a memory book through one of the companies, and you filled in what you thought your life was going to be in 5 years, and what you thought your life was going to be in 10 years, and what what were your wildest dreams. And for me, that was kind of the beginning of all of the planning that I did for my whole life. But I did not consider it so, and I just said, I'm going to speak all of these things into existence. So I enrolled at the University of Houston in a field that I did not go into for various reasons. I definitely changed my major twice. The first two majors that I had were science, just science driven. And I completely jumped to liberal arts. And the reason for it, Mom, the reason for my jump from sciences to liberal arts is because at the same time I was earning the science degree, I was actually working on a minor in the liberal arts field. So I was actually pretty well rounded, and I still think that I am. And that's a good thing. Long story short, I definitely graduated in a different field than I planned. So already the little 5-year plan that I had, I know there was like a BMW included in that plan. And I don't have that. First 5-year plan completely ruined, except for the fact that I did graduate from college within 5 years. And my 10-year plan included a lot of things that were driven by the science field that I had selected at first, and that's not where I was. So, new plans. But what does this have to do with right now? A lot. A lot. When I graduated, I actually did an alternative certification to become a teacher. And the first certification I got was in Spanish because I ended up majoring in Spanish linguistics and culture and civilization. I did culture and civilization because history is straightforward, and then linguistics helped me get more of a handle on the language and how it functioned. And now that's not even how you teach Spanish anymore. Now it's different. I have to adapt, but adapt. That's another thing that we'll have to talk about. Anyway, so became a teacher, started teaching. I've been teaching for 10 years, and in that time I developed another 10-year plan, a 5 to 10-year plan. And I did complete my 5-year plan. Some of the things included a new car, saving money, paying down the student loans, except I realized that that's just going to be a part of my life now. And that's fine. But just saving. And I actually had a pretty good savings before things happened. there were 3 years in there, right after I finished my first 5-year plan, that actually made sense. The only thing that didn't happen on the 5-year plan is buying a house, because I bought a car and I had an apartment, and the apartment was supposed to be to help build up whatever it is you're supposed to build up when you're trying to convince the bank to give you money for a mortgage. And I did not do that, and my card broke down, so I bought a new one. So there was a 3-year period where basically I just let things happen. And for some people, that's how they live their life, but I can't do that. I was working at one of my second teaching position, and it was at my alma mater with students that I loved, and my other mom, who was my choir teacher when I was in high school, and yet she's only 29. It's amazing. She's very young, and she stayed young forever. So I was working with them, and I thought, by saying defying gravity, because it was the thing you do at that time, and I said, yeah, it really is time to start defying gravity. I need to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. I ended up by chance getting a new position at another school with the possibility of becoming a head choir director, but I would still teach Spanish. At the same time, I got into a master's program, and when I tell you none of this was in my 5-year plan, none of it, not even a little bit. So I moved to it was a college prep school, and I had these amazing experiences there. And that's when I started doing the 5-year plan for after I finished my master's degree in music. I said, okay, what do I want to do in this field? What is it that's going to happen? As long as I had stayed just teaching Spanish, I wasn't thinking about what was going to come next or anything like that. And I know that doesn't work for some people, but when you're kind of in a rut, I don't think it's beneficial to try to make a new 5-year plan when you don't really know what's going to happen. And so the reason that's relatable is because right now I had started a 5-year plan last year, and I re-entered the education field. I don't know how long I'll be in education, but it's pretty much a part of my life. And I said, this is what I want in 5 years. And I talked about those in the first video. So you can go back and fast forward and be like, oh, that. So really fast, opera company, wedding venue. 5 years, 10 years, respectively. So I started it, and I said, you know what? It's going to be great. I'm going to get this started. I put some feelers out. I talked to friends at my opera company. Well, at my opera company. It's not mine. And I just said, you know what? I really think this is a good time to start something for these reasons. I said the first thing I needed to do was figure out how to make sure that they had a place to sing that paid them. Because you cannot pay your rent in resume fillers or exposure. My car note is not 300 exposures. You have to pay U.S. currency. Everything was derailed in about February when we started hearing about current events. I refuse to say that. I'm not going to say it on these videos because I'm going to remember it without having to, I'm going to remember that without having to say all of it. Like, oh, that was 2020. A side note, I really expected 2020 to be a great year. New age music, technically it is. New fashion, literature, and just another renaissance. And this is not my idea of fun. I was supposed to start in May, was supposed to be the launch concert. 3 weeks. 3 weeks from tomorrow was supposed to be the launch concert. Yes, and then this summer was supposed to be the very first Summer Institute, for which I already had teachers. This is a sign of the times. It really is. All we had to do was start recruiting students. Well, and I went on vacation over spring break, and when I came back, everything was shut down. Houston Livestock and Rodeo shut down. And I said, you know what? I'm not about to be able to start this year, or I'm going to have to start it later. But then I'm going to be competing with larger companies and larger venue and for the same spaces that we have here in Houston, and I could get creative, but if everybody is still recovering financially, it's going to be really difficult for that to take off. It might not be that they don't want to support the company, but it might be that they just don't have the money and their priority is the larger companies. Can you turn the TV down? Okay. All of that to say, if you are one of the people who does not like to fly by the seat of your pants, it's time to just write down things. You say, oh, I should do that. Just write it down. Okay? It doesn't mean you have to do anything toward it. You just need to write it down so you remember and you can edit later. You can say, okay, I want to start writing a novel. Write that down. When I get back to work, I want this. Write it down. For example, what I did, I found out what I was teaching, exactly which courses I would be teaching next year if I'm invited back. I wrote my goals out, and actually I wrote my goals out as part of my evaluation that doesn't count this year, but it helps because I'll be able to go back and say, this is what I wanted. Let me try to do that. Am I about to start doing all the lesson plans right now? No. I'm not about to start doing all the lesson plans right now because I still have the lesson plans for online learning. But I'm still going to make a video for them like this because they need to see my English is. I still have them because I'm going to take these off. But write it down. Write down everything that when it pops into your head, just, have a little to-do pad. If you have a latte to do. Write it down. The thing that I will say, if you are a person that's like me and you're a go-getter, pick one of the things and say, this is what I want to focus on for how long do I want to focus on until I lose momentum, but keep a track of that process. If you are a person that is having anxiety and depression and you're worried about finances and stuff like that, this still kind of helps. You can still write it down. Don't write it down and be like, well, that's not going to happen. Don't worry about that yet. Okay? You need to worry about legitimate things. Like legitimate things that actually cause a lot of anxiety for people right now. So just write it down. Write that down. The other thing I find for me that is helpful, I have like a very specific planner. It's pretty. And it has my goals that I wrote them out. And I know I look like I'm very disciplined with that. But this is April, and I didn't write my goals out until April 15th. 15th. The date is the 22nd. So April was halfway over by the time I wrote down my goals for April. But the thing is, my goals deadline is not April 30th because there's a month that comes after that called May. And so in May, I'll have the opportunity to make those rollover minutes by AT&T. Sorry. If you're feeling like your life is in shambles right now, you are not the only one. And if you feel like you're very lucky that your life is not as in shambles as someone else, your feelings are still valid. Your life is still in a predicament that you were not expecting and you cannot plan for. So, my only advice today is to write it down. Okay? Write it down. You don't have to do all the things right now, today. The other thing that is circulating is there's two. There's one meme circulating, like if you don't come out of here with a new hobby or learning a new language or learned how to ride a horse or figured out how to buy the farm, then you're not using the quarantine properly. I'm supposed to do all of that. There's really only 24 hours in the day, and for 12 of that, I would like to be asleep. I'd also like to have a drink that's not water. But I have things to do. This is a global pandemic. Everybody in the world alive at this time will not forget this time. You will literally be able to go to Italy and say, man, 2020 was rough. And they're going to say, At least you were not stuck indoors for 6 months. We locked down before you did. And you can go to Australia and say, man, 2020 was rough. And they were like, yeah, first the fires and then a pandemic. Are you kidding me? Like, could it just not get any worse? This is a problem. This is actually a fight for survival. This is the first time in my lifetime that my survival is based on staying in the house and based on other people who are asymptomatic not going outside and getting me sick and getting my family sick and having deaths in my family just for doing normal things. This is serious. And if you're feeling some kind of anxiety about that, then it's valid. You're allowed to feel that way. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a therapist or a counselor. I'm none of those things. This is not why I do these videos. For me, this is calming. This is helping me keep on track. Like I said in the first video, really this is just me cataloging my journey. And I mean, I held up to-do list that has nothing on it, and I'm telling you to write stuff down. I'm gonna write stuff down. I wrote my stuff down in here. But all of the other stuff that's not necessarily related to what I have to do for work or what I have to do for the opera house or contacting people for those purposes is going on here. I need to write it down. I don't have a pen. Is there a pen in here? It's an eye pencil. It's not. I'm going to write it down. The other thing is I want to explore a little bit more on makeup things. Like I did my makeup today based on this picture, and it looks nothing like the picture at all. It doesn't. But I did put eyelashes on, and I did them, and they actually look nice, and they're not bothering me. These are new lashes from the time when I went to Sephora before all of this craziness was happening. And actually, it wasn't before all of this craziness was happening. It was before we did the shutdown. And I really shouldn't have been out. But I hope everybody has a great day. If you're not having a great day, I'm really sorry. Here is a virtual hug. Okay, if you don't like hugs, high five. Okay, dap. I don't know, it's hand jive, something. Bye.